Welcome back to my channel, Bella Graffito Art. Today we are going to be working with a kit that I found at Michael's. Now Michael's has a ton of stuff there for you to grab either for home decor or for you to use for an art project. But they also have quite a few little kits that are pre-made for you to use if you're not comfortable with starting something completely from scratch and on your own. So I grabbed one of these kits that was half off. It was in the little summer kit aisle, so I figured I would grab one and test it out. Now some people don't go down that aisle unless they have kids. I highly encourage you, even if you don't have kids or you don't have any kids in your life and you just want a quick, easy art project, it's still good to go over there and check for those. And it says that this is for ages 6 and up. So that does mean adults are included in that. So we're going to be working on this today, but we're going to try to elevate it. Instead of using the little markers that come with it that can sometimes be a little iffy, we're going to be using some paint markers. All right, so come along and let's get to it. Well, here we are with our Creatology kit. This is the kit I got from Michael's. This is supposed to be a happy little wind chime. So it does have all the little connectors, everything you need to make the wind chime. So instead of using everything, all the markers that it came with, we're going to elevate things with some paint markers. Now this is in a cute little resealable bag, so if you want to take it apart later and then just store it, you could. So that's nice that it's in a resealable package. So this is made of wood. You've got the two pieces. You get the cute little wings here, and then you have the little unicorn, and the pieces just easily connect together like that. And then you would tie on the little wind chimes there at the bottom. So there's the two pieces there. You do get some cute little stickers that you can put on your happy little unicorn when it's done. Here are the markers that it comes with. We don't need this, so we can throw it away. And then you've got a little diagram and some instructions on how to put this together. Okay, so again, this is for ages 6 and up. I'm an adult and I am older than 6, so that means yes, I'm allowed to do those. So we're gonna put this together with the paint markers and see how it goes with that. As always, we want to protect our area, so I'm just using some of my paper from my mixed media sketchbook that I have. I know that the ink, the paint from the paint markers isn't going to leak through really bad, and it just helps protect your area. Also, when using paint markers, you do want scrap paper because you will have to push on the end of it in order to get the paint out, and you don't want it to puddle up everywhere. So it's good to have just some paper there that you can just depress the marker onto, get the paint out of there that you need, and then not worry about it smudging. So I do have an extra sheet of this paper off to the side over here so I can do that with my markers. So first thing you're going to want to do is decide, well, what colors am I going to use? Now I'm using these paint markers that I've had in videos before. You do not have to have these specific ones. These are ones I've accumulated over the past like 3 or 4 years, and they're a really, really good sturdy brand. They also have some super fine point ones. But if you want to just grab the Craft Smart brand from Michael's, you could also use the Posca markers. Those are really nice. Or really any other paint marker that you find, you could use that. I wanted to use paint markers instead of the markers that came in the pack, just because these end up coming out kind of streaky on the wood. And since, you know, we're not little kids, we're adults, we can elevate this project. So we're gonna use some of these paint markers on here instead. When it comes to our instructions, pretty straightforward. Know what your pieces are. We already kind of took a little inventory there of what came with it. And then basically we're just coloring. You are going to color the front and the back, and then it'll show you on the back how to add your cute little decals, your little stickers on there, and then as well as cutting and then adding on the little hanging pieces in order for this to be a wind chime. So first thing you want to do, of course, is pick your colors. So I want to somewhat mimic the colors that are on here, but then kind of come up with my own stuff too. I might have some gold in here. I think maybe I'll do some little gold accents like in the tail there. maybe I'll have the little horn up there be gold. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick some colors. I have a few over here that I picked already, but I'm going to really decide what colors I want to use. I mean, this, keep in mind, you don't have to get too crazy because this only came with 4 colors. So, you know, you're kind of limited on your options there. But since we're elevating this and we're using some paint markers, I'm going to try to pick some variety of colors on here that I can use that I feel like will give this some pizzazz. Well, I don't know if you're like me, but I need to have a written out plan to help me, because anytime I start doing something with different colors like this, sometimes I forget and then things start going off the rails. So I did write down real quick some of the colors that I plan on using on this, just so I don't get off track. Now on the actual little picture here, they have the little front part of the face is the same color as the body, so I'm going to do that on here as well. I am planning to trace over some things back with black. I do have a fine point black here, just in case I get outside of the lines and accidentally cover up some of the black, then I can just go ahead and retrace over it, okay? All right, so let's get started and let's get to coloring. So if you noticed, as I was painting this in with these paint markers and coloring it in, I was using kind of short strokes going along. That's just because you don't want to mess up the very tip of your paint marker. Now these are meant to be super durable. They're basically like graffiti markers, so you can use them on all sorts of surfaces. And you can buy different nibs for these specific markers. Not all paint marker brands are like that. So just kind of think about the surface that you're using and if it's going to start messing up the end of your marker. But I feel like that is a pretty good coat. I wasn't too worried about getting details on the end over here because this pack does come with those cute little stickers. So I'll probably just cover this whole thing up with this marker so that way I can just have kind of a blank space, and then if the black shows through, that'll help guide me. So this one is the blue violet pastel color that I'm using, and I'm just gonna kind of go over these little spots here where the stickers are, and it does cover it up pretty well, but then that gives me kind of free reign on where I want to put the stickers, and I can put them in a different spot if I want to. Now's a good time to just kind of look through, see if there's any areas you wanted to retouch, make sure things are coated the way you want them to be coated. It does dry nice and fast, so that's great, because then you can easily move on to another area and not have to worry about it getting all over your hands and smudged on accident. So this little front piece here, I've been debating if I want to keep it the same color as the rest of the little unicorn here, or if I want it to be a different color. And I think I'm going to go ahead and have it be the same color. I was thinking of maybe changing it, but then I just could not decide on a color to use. So I'm just going to have that be cohesive and have it be the same color as the rest of the unicorn. Now, because I do have a black paint marker, I can go back over this since it did kind of overlap onto the lines a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is the rainbow. And for the rainbow colors, I chose these 3 colors. I've got kind of a light green color here. This one is zinc yellow, and then a magenta. So I'm going to go through and start filling in the rainbow. Now we did have a little bit of a casualty here. I did smudge. I do it every time. It's like doing nail polish. I did have a little smudgy wudgy here in the magenta area, but that's okay. We'll work with it. Also, I've got the black that I can overlap the lines that got messed up. So this is still sitting on here and it's still drying. I would say that's the only drawback from using the paint markers as opposed to the markers it came with, because you do have to kind of sit and wait for things to dry. But if you want this to be a nice little stress relief activity where you're forcing yourself to just wait and let things do what they need to do, let the paint dry, throw on some music, maybe throw on a podcast, whatever, then it becomes more of an event and it doesn't feel like some sort of task that you have to do. It feels like something fun that you're working on. So don't feel like you have to sit and rush through this. So the next thing I'm going to work on is going to be the mane here and then also the tail. I've got 4 colors there that I'm going to use. I'm going to let this dry for just a second and then I'm going to hop to it and add these 4 colors to the unicorn. All right, we're ready to get in here to some smaller areas. I have my 4 colors that I chose to do the mane and the tail, and we're gonna get right on in here. I'm not gonna use the gold yet. That's gonna come later, but we're gonna get on in here and do the little hairs here on the mane, and then we're also going to do the tail. Okay. We have an emergency. We have an emergency. So see what happened was, remember how I said you have to press on the marker to get it started? Well, I did press on the marker and I pressed too hard and too much paint came out. So now we have this happy little thing going on the paper, well, on the wood. Ah, geez. Okay, so don't freak out if this happens. There is an easy fix. So what you're going to do, I'm going to go here and grab a Kleenex. This is how we do problem solving. All right, so I'm just going to take a little Kleenex. I'm just going to lay it on top. Oh! Now, the good thing about these markers is they are acrylic and you can just layer on top of acrylic and it immediately will cover it. So we're just going to let it soak that up a little bit. There we go. It's actually not that bad. Oh yeah, that's not that bad at all. But again, sometimes, you know, you have little mistakes like that and you do freak out and you're wondering if you messed it up or not. So really, oh yeah, that's not messed up that bad at all, because even though it overlapped here, I also realized I forgot the ear earlier. But even though it overlapped over here, I can just get my other color I used for the body and just cover that up. And oh, the ear. I almost forgot again. Gotta do the ear. There we go. So the ear is done. And then I'm not sure what I want the inside color of the ear to be. On here, they did it just like a yellow color. So I think we'll decide that in a second when it dries a little bit more. Now, I do have my smaller markers here that I can use in those smaller areas. This is the same color that was on there before. I just have to get some juice going. I gotta shake it up a little bit and then get the paint going. But if I wanted to, I could just switch and use because look how small that is. See, that's small enough. It would just go right in there. But I was being lazy and I didn't want to have to switch back and forth over and over. So I'm just using the larger ones. Well, let me put them right next to each other so you can see the difference in the size. So see, that's the smaller one. So for the Molotow markers, this is the 127. This is the 227. I tend to always use the 227. The 127 is great for details though. So, like I said, I'm just being a silly goose, and I'm being lazy and just using the 227s for the whole thing. So now that should be predominantly dry. I'm going to turn it upside down a little. Turn your stuff when you're working on it, by the way. I don't know why some people think it's like attached to the table and they can't turn their work surface when they're working on it. So I'm going to go back over this spot where it oozed into that area and just fix that. And then I'll let this neon, yeah, this is the neon because this is the magenta color right here. I'm going to let that neon pink dry a little bit, and then I'll come back in there and do that and redo that. Okay, so we're out of the woods now. We can go back to making the rest of the mane and the tail look nice and pretty. Here we have our little colored in unicorn here. I did decide to just grab one of my light pink, pastel pink markers to do that little part of the ear that we were talking about earlier. And I did kind of go back in up here a little bit to fill in with the paint marker on areas that it got overlapped. So now I'm going to use gold. I actually don't have gold with the Molotow markers, so I'm going to use the Craft Smart Gold. And I'll just give that a little shake and kind of draw with it a little bit on my scrap paper, and then we'll be ready to start with it. So I am going to do the horn up here, which some of it's going to get covered up, but I think that'll be okay because remember, I am going to be able to go back over that with black. Ooh, it's so shiny. Before I was worried about doing the wings in gold, but after testing the gold on some paper, I do like how it looks. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do all of the wings with gold. We are back. I did have to use my happy little Kleenex again on a couple spots, but I think it turned out pretty good. I did do one more little coat over here on the body. Now, you can leave it like this. Remember, you do have to do the backside as well, or you can be extra like me and take a black marker and go back over these lines. Now, the size of the markers I'm using now is too big. And even with this one, I feel like this one's still going to be, if it wants to open, this one's going to be too big as well. Now, because I'm obsessed with pens, I do have some Molotow black liner pens, and I found one that I think is going to be perfect. It's the 0.7 millimeter black liner, and I had tested it down here a little bit on the yellow, and it worked out perfect. So if you're like me and you're like, no, I don't want to see all the areas where it overlapped, I still want it to be a nice black line, you might be able to do this with like a super fine point Sharpie as long as it doesn't bleed. But you can go back along some of these lines. Again, some of you might be like, okay, that's extra and I don't want to do all that for this. But if you're like me and you want to clean up the lines, then just know that's a happy little option for you. So see, it looks so much better. It is so much better. Especially if you had any whoopsies like I did over here. But you can clean up some of the areas where the paint marker went outside of the designated lines and just make things look nice and cleaned up. Again, remember, this is a 6 and up project and we are trying to elevate it as adults. So we're taking our time. We're making sure we add a little extra oomph to it. We're going to go over these lines here where we had little whoopsies. And we're going to clean things up a little bit. Because, like, you know, with kids, usually they don't want it to be super, super perfect, depending on the kids. Sometimes they just want to have a fun little activity. And you might feel the same way. You might just look at this and be like, I just wanted something fun to do. I don't want to go through and do all this extra lining of the areas that I made a whoopsie on. But if you do, just know that this is a fabulous option for you. And you can go through and clean up those lines and make it look real nice. So I'm going to do that on mine just because it's going to bother me. So I'm going to clean up all these lines and then I should be ready to attach the other pieces for the wind chime. Well, here we are again. Now, I've pulled out all of the other supplies needed as well as the little instructions here. Now, it's telling you to cut this longer string. It's kind of like fishing line into 4 pieces. So the easiest way that I know how to do that is to basically just take, hold on, let me get it lined up. I'm going to take the string, I'm lining the ends up, and I'm just going to cut that in half, and then I'm going to take those 2 pieces and fold them in half and cut those in half, okay? So that's the easiest way, so you can get nice even pieces, as even as possible. Now I've got these 2 strings together. I'm pretty sure it does not matter if they're super, super exact. Okay, all right. So I've got those 4 pieces. And I've got these little stickers too. So these little stickers you can put anywhere. And I did do the back as well. It's not as pretty. And yes, I smudged. I smudged down here with the green because I was too excited to put the little stickers on. Okay. Now, on the example, we've got just, you know, stickers kind of going everywhere. Because, you know, that's what the children like to do, is put stickers everywhere. But here's what I'm going to do. I want, these are just the little sparkly studs. I want them on the hooves. You know, it's kind of like heels, whatever. It's like they got their nails done, okay? So I'm going to... Look, this is a moment for you to heal your inner child and do something fun. And that's what I'm going to do. Boom. Hair done, nail done, everything big. And then we've got these stickers here. If I can get them out of their little package. So, I think I will put some of those back here. Did you cute little pink one? And then I think I'll do a couple of the yellow ones. See, look. We can be adults and do fun things, okay? It's not always for the children. I think it's so important for adults to just do fun, goofy stuff like this. Like, you might think it's dumb. But, oh my gosh, live a little, okay? Live a little. Now, you will have extra stickers to put on the back if you want to put them on the back or just keep them on the front. You can decide there. I mean, heck, you might... I do have some googly eyes, but I'm not going to pull them out. I could put a googly eye on here. That would be so funny. But yeah, put the stickers wherever you want them. You can be, you know, really... simple with it like this, or you can just, you know, have at it. You decide, all right? So we do have to get these little strings on here, and I have a feeling these are going to be the things that drive me crazy. So it does tell you to just thread it through like you're threading a needle, and then you're going to double knot. Y'all, I didn't connect it to the unicorn. I was so busy being like, okay, guys, this is how you're going to do it. Forgetting to actually loop it. I'm over it. Oh my God. Follow direction. See, this is what happens with craft projects. I get too excited. Like stuff that has instructions. I just get too excited and I just want to do it. And I just want to put it together. Okay, I'm going to have to go I'm going to grab a little I've got in my little container here, I've got some push pins. I'm going to get one of those to take this knot out, and then we'll be back. And we're back. I was able to perform surgery. It actually didn't take that long. And I got it apart. I just used a little push pin to get in between the little knots. Now, we're going to actually attach this to the unicorn. Look, I feel like that is a real moment. I feel like some channels, stuff is just way too curated. And like they don't show if they make a whoopsie. Sometimes whoopsies happen. I'm not going to always edit all of them out. It happens. Okay, that's the real part of doing a craft project. Especially if it's one you're doing for the first time. Sometimes you're going to fudge up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do like I did before. Where I'm still going to do that one knot. But then just to hold things in place. And then I'll loop it. I'm going to do it around one finger. And I'll loop it around. And then bring it around town. Is that going to go in? Oh my gosh. Oh, these eyes of mine. I swear this clear. I'm glad no one can see my face right now. Because the way that I am just so in tune and staring at this to make sure it's right. Okay, there we go. We have one attached. Now I do have all this little extra up here at the top. So I think I'm going to grab my little scissors and just not clip all of it, but just most of it so it doesn't look too crazy. Okay. Oh, you know what? You could probably loop it so that way the knot goes into this middle piece. Will that hide it? Will that hide it? A little bit. Okay. All right, I'm going to do the other 3 of these and come right back. Okay, even with my whoopsie, I got all the metal pieces on there. Now I'm going to attach the ribbon that goes through the top part up here, so that way you can actually hang this. So let's just pull that through there, and then we'll add the wings, and it'll be all finished. So I'm just going to loop this through. So now we've got a little hanger to pull it by. Oh, there we go. And then we just add the little wings back here. So you do want to attach all that before you add the wings, because they're just gonna fall off anyway. So little wings connect. Oh, Alexa, play Wind Beneath My Wings. This was cute, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really not gonna lie. This was so much fun. I had a lot of fun making it. So this retails is $4.99. I bought it for half of that because it was 50% off. It was on sale. You might still be able to find these at Michael's for half off. I know during basically every holiday type season, they have some sort of craft like this. I remember around the holidays, they had a lot of foam stuff they were doing. I have bought stuff like that for my nieces and nephews, for my sisters. And it's just fun to goof off and make these little crafts like this. If it's good for kids and their development and helping them out, what's the harm in having adults do it too? Okay, so I strongly encourage you to go out and get one of these little kits. It's so fun. Even if you do it by yourself, or if you have a group of friends, maybe you guys get together and you each have one of these little crafts. Just any age, I feel like this is perfect for. I had a ton of fun. Yeah, strongly suggest it. So that's going to be the end of it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I was like truly shocked that people were actually subscribing to my little channel. I'm just a former K-12 art teacher that just really wants adults to get out there and make art. And I'm just so happy that so many of you are coming along for the journey. So if there's ever a project you want me to do, you can always suggest it in the comments. I know I found some circle watercolor paper that I got when I was visiting my best friend in New York. So definitely, I will be doing a project with that. I'm thinking along the lines of like a galaxy or something. So thanks so much for watching me and my little unicorn. We thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.